Welcome to the London Horror Movie Club. I'm horror writer Lauren Jane Barnett.
And I'm Chris Sapikowski, Lauren's older brother, and I've been watching horror movies since I was 8.
Join us as we talk about the wild, weird, and wonderful horror films set in England's eerie capital. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are all together again. Hooray!
Hey! Woo!
Chris is down here for Horror on Sea, which I'm sure if you follow us on Facebook, you know already. And so we thought we would take advantage and do one together. And today we have something quite fun for you. So late last year, Chris challenged us to pick our top 10 horror movies. Not necessarily like the world's top 10, world's top 10, but like the ones that for us are, for whatever reason, we decided the top 10. So today we're going to talk about those a little bit. We'll share our lists, why we did it. Hopefully we'll also talk a little bit about like the ones that didn't make the list, because it's so hard.
Yeah. This is today's top 10.
I know.
Yeah. My top 10 has changed multiple times throughout the plane ride over here, even. So
It'll probably change by the time we finished.
Yeah.
yeah. Might. I don't know if I have rankings on this, but I have 10 of them.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you gave us at least 10, because if some people ask me all the time, oh, what's your favorite horror movie? What's your top 5?
No way I could do that.
Yeah, no, that's an impossible question. No.
I mean, 10's hard.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I don't know. So before we go into them, I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was funny how I did mine, because this was part of the problem. Is what I ended up doing is I was like, well, I can't just sit down and go, oh, my top 10, because I ended up with a list of like 100. So what I did is I wrote out all of the films that I liked, and I like gave myself a week to go back and like add the ones that I was like, oh yeah, I really love this one. And then I had to sit down and be like, right, half of these are gone. And then a different day I came back and like, okay, half have to be gone again.
Yep.
That's how I ended up doing it. It was really hard because I then had to figure out what I meant by top 10.
I had the same thing. I actually tried to bracket it out, like for American listeners, like the NCAA bracket. And then I realized that I wasn't coming up with really my top 10. I was coming up with just movies. Like I would break, like Asian horror, like would be a bunch. I'm like, well, that one would beat out this one over here in this horror movie. So I gotta scrap that whole idea. So I have like 3 different full-page notebooks of ideas. But I started the same way of just writing what movie would I want to watch right now if I could go back and watch a movie, and then like start writing them up, and they're just like different, like, oh, I thought of this movie. So.
I think that's one of the ways I was looking at it as well, though, is it's about films you were happy to watch again and again, and that's kind of helped me choose.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think Tony and I obviously living together tried to keep it like secret from each other, but I think as well, I don't know about you, I was trying to think about, I want to make sure I have a movie that at least one that neither of you would have, and that it shouldn't go into your top 10. And then I realized that actually I'll say a Hitchcock film and neither of you two will, so I was safe. I was like, I love Hitchcock, so I'm good. But it was one of those things I thought about. I was like, ooh, should I have it be my actual top 10, or what if it's too close? And then the more I did it, I was like, it's not going to be like you guys.
And there's also the not pitfall exactly, but you want to come up with some films that aren't the obvious ones all the time as well. Even there's like, so for example, Psycho or whatever. And obviously I've got some obvious ones, but I've got a couple that are a little bit less, well regarded.
Yeah, I think mine are going to be like, oh, you liked watching horror movies in this decade. But we'll see. Like I wanted to try to put what I liked in there, as opposed, I did try to do the same thing where it's like, let me try to show everybody that I'm really edgy with this weird movie that I really like, but then I'm like, well, I don't know, but I don't like it better than these 3 movies.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
like, why would I do that?
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, then let's start with just our list. And now I realized that when we moved this stuff, we lost my list. So I'm going to find my list.
Yeah.
Which was underneath. Tony brought props, and then my list disappeared.
Props. I don't think I didn't put it on anything. I don't think.
I don't know where my list is. Oh, there it is. It fell.
Okay. So it wasn't my fault.
Anyway, so Chris, go for it.
Oh, okay. We're going to start. And I guess we'll do this in...
I don't think we can have an order. I think that's too dicey.
Okay, good. Okay, phew.
I didn't
because I can't do a top film.
Okay, no, I'm happy with that. So, okay, my top 10. We're going to go all 10?
Yeah, we'll do
Okay. So my first one would be Poltergeist from 1982.
Cool.
movie scared the hell out of me as a kid. It scared me. Clowns, like the clown that tackles the little boy, the little lady that comes in, the clairvoyant medium. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool and awesome there. So like, and that's one that I was excited to show my kids when they got older, and they were like, "This is lame."
Yeah.
It it didn't translate to them, but it is definitely, that was always in my top 10. No matter what order I did, I was like, I remembered that one. So usually I'd say this movie for anytime someone's, what's your favorite horror movie? Because this is probably my first movie I saw in the genre was Nightmare on Elm Street, the original one. Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund,
amazing,
Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
like I mean, Johnny Depp getting sucked into a bed and then the blood going everywhere still stays with me to this day. So that was great. And I also noticed a theme that when we start talking about our list that I can get into, but moving along, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh,
good choice. Excellent choice.
You don't know how you
Excellent choice.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that movie, right?
No.
It's every time I watch it, it's still great.
It's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Then we get into like the newer ones, or there's a newish one. I say new, and now it's probably 15 years old. But The Conjuring.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
really like The Conjuring. And it also just it was funny. The Conjuring got chosen for me because there's the Conjuring world now with the nun and the little doll and Annabelle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, The Conjuring started all of it, so like we're gonna stick with The Conjuring. But and that's definitely the best one. I mean, the original Conjuring was great.
Yeah.
I still to this day will do the little clap.
Yeah.
Like, because all my kids have seen it, they're like, stop. Just like, especially if it's like nighttime, you turn off the lights, you go to bed. Like when they used to live in the house, I'd be like, clap, clap, stop. Then another one that was actually right around the same time that The Conjuring came out was Sinister.
Oh,
don't know if you've seen that.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. A little bit of found footage within that movie. It's not a found footage movie necessarily, but it kind of goes in that realm.
Yeah.
So really liked that one. Another, then going right along, I will go back a little bit. This is actually before I was born. This might be the oldest movie on my list. But The Exorcist.
Classic.
Amazing.
Yep.
Classic.
Yeah.
I can watch it and enjoy it as much as I did the first time I saw it, and it's still creepier than hell.
Yeah.
That is a film that endures in a like seriously. It's almost any generation will watch it and find it creepy.
Very creepy. Yep. I don't ever want to be possessed, so but the way that they did it, it was just fantastic. I still haven't been to the Georgetown Steps, even though I go to DC a lot, because that would just be creepy to me. Like I don't know.
That's fair.
We talked about this movie when you guys visited, but I added it to my list because I just love it so much. Is In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, that's cool. Good choice.
That's
mental freaky stuff
you
going
on. Kane? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great film. I really enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sam Neill's awesome in everything.
It's true.
Yeah. Oh, he is 100%. So, moving along, Scream.
Cool.
Oh,
Wes Craven's Scream.
Yeah.
Like it's.
I wondered whether that'd be.
Yeah, it was like the perfect slasher flick, but for that new generation.
You're a Craven fanboy.
Yeah,
I might be. I might be.
I love that. No, that's cool. That's a great choice.
I was wondering when I started making these movies, like, what does this say about me, though? Because it's like, it's slasher, like Craven and slasher, and like, but no, Scream was, to this day, like, it just was done so well.
Nice.
Really liked it.
Film.
Yeah,
love it.
And then the last two, Sixth Sense.
Good film. Very good film.
That's
good shout.
That's my favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie. Probably because it was his first, and now I watch the movies waiting for the
twist.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and they don't work anywhere near as well as that one. Anything he's done since.
No, The Village was close. The Village was close. But The Sixth Sense was just. I mean, Haley Joel Osment and just the fear on his face, like it was great. It was really good. And then I went a little bit off the board here. I love this movie. I have not seen it in probably about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So I couldn't, but I know it's one of those movies I always recommend to someone that's want like a psychological horror. But Jacob's Ladder with Tim Robbins.
Oh wow, yeah. I haven't seen that for a long time.
Seen it at all.
But
Yeah, it's
every
good.
time I've seen it, or like I watched it about 5 years ago because it was in the house that I live in now, so I know it was within a certain time frame. And we're thinking, damn, that's a good movie. Like after I was done, I was like, it's just creepy. And it's so Jacob's Ladder and Tim. I mean, I still think it's probably in the top 3 Tim Robbins movies.
That's I
Good
haven't
shout.
seen it because we see it every now and then on Prime.
Yeah,
We're
we
like,
should
yeah,
watch
it's
it.
really good.
Yeah.
But sorry, my computer is going awry. But yeah, I haven't actually seen it. What is it about?
He's a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
And basically PTSD, but then like the psychological, just like he's being tormented psychologically. There are scenes in that movie. There's one scene where you've seen the movie, correct?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Okay. There's a scene where he's like in a stretcher and they're wheeling him through, but there's like all these like crazy, creepy, like the fast moving things and like things wiggling around like in different like monsters and things. It's just it makes me even today feel uncomfortable when I watch it. And so like I judge a lot with movies with that. If it makes me feel something like that uneasiness or like just that creepiness, it resonates a little bit better with me. And I'm like, okay, I like that movie. You know, like because you see so many movies, I'm like, all right, watch that. That's good. On to the next one. But this one, I'm like, whoa, I want to watch that one again. So I recommend that movie if you want to see something. Now it was, I think it was like 1982 possibly.
I'll
A bit later.
Oh no, maybe it was 1990. Yeah, sorry. God, I want to say it was in the 80s because I remember the first time I watched it, I thought I was a lot younger, but I was 13. So
I remember renting it when it came out. Yeah, on video.
Yeah, I liked it. I recommend it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm curious whether, before we go into all of our list, I'm curious whether you have any, because I think Texas Chainsaw is probably going to be on yours.
I'm not telling you.
No, we're crossing over to your list. So
I can't
I'm
tell you
curious
yet.
whether you have any doubles.
Yes, I've got Texas Chainsaw on my list. Yes.
So I don't think any of that, this is how much my list changed. I have to double check. I know some of those made my long list. I don't think any of them made the final. They didn't. Obviously, Exorcist was one that I was like, yeah. Those are really good. The only one I haven't seen is Jacob's Ladder. It's a lot more modern than I thought they'd be.
Yep.
That's because I thought you'd be all over the like 80s, 90s slasher genre. That's incredible.
All of those were on my, like my long list for sure. Like Halloween and Friday the 13th, and we can go into like our long list at the end, but or like the next 5 type of thing. But yeah, no, I as I kind of went through it, I'm like, if I had to pick 10 movies to go to a desert island and only could watch these 10 horror movies, that's what I'm with today.
I love that.
Yep.
That's very cool. All right, Tony,
Tony.
you're up.
Okay. So I'm just gonna rattle through and we can talk about them. Creepshow. I've got visual aids. Creepshow. Classic. Carnival of Souls, 1962. Brilliant. The Wicker Man. The Blind Dead series, all 4 of them. I couldn't decide which was my favourite.
Hey, that's not fair.
Yes, it is. Hereditary.
Oh, okay. All right.
The Deadly Spawn. The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. And I couldn't find Terrifier. Return of the Living Dead. And that's it. That's my 10.
Wow.
Or 14.
Yeah, 14. 13.
13, because there's 4 movies.
Because 4, yeah.
Terrifier. Oh, I put Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2 as well, so that's 15.
Okay.
So your top 10
is 15. Yeah.
I like your top 10. I've maybe seen half of them.
Ah, well, there you go.
I have a list to watch.
Yes.
I think you'll love Living Dead in Manchester Morgue.
Living Dead Manchester was brilliant. It's
Zombies.
it's an English, Spanish, Italian production. It's not set in Manchester. It wasn't filmed in Manchester. It was filmed in England and Italy, if I remember rightly. Somewhere in the north, but it wasn't Manchester. But it's a cracking film. Yeah, it's one of the best. I'm very zombie heavy, actually, aren't I?
I just realised that unexpectedly. That's a very zombie heavy list.
Yeah, so we've got Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue, Return of the Living Dead.
There's an argument to be made for Texas too, having being a sign of zombie-ish.
Yeah, is there?
Because the dad.
Yes. Granddad.
Sorry.
Creepshow has also got some zombie types in as well. I almost had zombie flesh eaters as well, but I didn't. So yeah, that's where I am. It's a bit eclectic. So yeah,
I like it.
yeah, good.
I actually I fumbled around with Creepshow 2.
There you go.
But that was also again my childhood because it had the raft.
The rafts are great.
Like
the Indian. Yeah.
And just those stories, I remember being able to see that. And the raft one was always a crazy one to me because at the end he's like, But the first Creepshow is amazing as well.
First Creepshow is one of those films that just remind, like you said, I remember watching it growing up, and it just blew me away. Every single story is fantastic. With the exception for me of the crate, funnily enough, and everyone says the crate's their favourite. I find it it's the least Tales from the Crypt-like. You know, it hasn't got a particularly. I find it a little bit dull. It hasn't got a great twist, whereas the others kind of have a little bit more off centre. But yeah, I just love it. Yeah, I mean, it's a go-to along with Return of the Living Dead. You know, it's a film. It's a film I can watch time and time again. Yeah.
That was classic.
Yep.
Have we hit more on your list now?
Only the Wicker Man we have in common.
Okay.
And the Wicker Man was one of those ones that I kept going back and forth. It was that or Hellraiser. And I know those don't sound like similar films, but to me they're like the British horror films I fell in love with at a certain age that made me want to watch other British horror.
Okay.
Because I'd watched mostly American horror. And so for me, although they are nothing alike, they're both outsidery, but like folklore versus 80s craziness. Hellraiser and The Wicker Man went back and forth, but The Wicker Man made it in the end.
So what else have you got? Is it exciting?
Unsurprisingly, The Birds. Everyone knows that's my favorite film. I watched it as a kid, and it scares the crap out of me. And to this day, I don't like large birds at museums. The ostrich section, no.
You don't like them at museums? Do you like them is it just at museums?
Zoos.
You're just at museums, you don't like large
just
birds?
Dead birds.
Yeah. I was thinking zoos, museum birds. Yeah,
how creepy is walking around London then? Because there are pigeons everywhere.
Freaking everywhere. And you know what as well? The crazy thing is they're city birds. So we grew up in countryside. Birds are used to farmers who spend their time trying to kill or get rid of or scare birds. Here, they feed them. You actively cultivate birds hanging out with you.
Saw it multiple times yesterday and it was creepy to me. But
it's so weird.
I love pigeons.
So weird.
Do you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of time for pigeons.
They're gonna peck your eyes out. Right, so The Wicker Man, more contemporary Saint Maud.
St. Maud,
That's the one that beat out The Exorcist for me.
Okay.
It's a religious film, it's not a possession film. I bloody love Saint Maud.
Okay.
And have you guys seen it?
I've not seen Saint Maud.
Yeah.
I'm like going to be adding things to my list here.
I think you'd like it. The thing for me that's so cool about it is she does actual things that biblically saints have done, but you realize how really screwed up that is if you aren't the Bible saints. You're like, why are you putting nails in your shoes to walk on nails? An actual saint did that. It's disgusting and brilliant. I love Saint Maud. Dr. Fives. No one who watches this could be surprised.
Great movie.
I adore The Abominable Dr. Fives. Amazing. The Innocents, which is the Turn of the Screw from the 60s.
Yes.
I love that.
Film.
Alien and Aliens were up in a serious battle with each other.
Okay.
As of, I think it was last week.
Put them both in because Tony can't tell you to do that.
Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
Alien and Aliens. Yes, Alien was the first film I fell madly in love with, but I think Alien 2 is a slightly better film, so that's why it was like a hard one.
I feel like they're one film almost. Like you almost have to watch. You have to watch both. Like if you watch one, you're gonna watch the second one.
Rude. I'll finish my list.
Yes, then I'll come back to that.
Rude.
I'll come back to that.
Rosemary's Baby.
Classic.
Amazing. Yeux sans visage, Eyes Without a Face.
Yes,
that's 1950s. Oh, you'd like it.
That almost made my top 10.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
It's very eerie.
If only it was the top 16, you would have probably made it.
Very
it's beautiful.
eerie.
It's beautiful to look at.
So creepy. The 70s Invasion of the Body Snatcher, the 78 one.
With Donald Sutherland. Great movie, though.
Awesome movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, the original's great too, but that's the one that emotionally for me, that's the first one I watched.
Yep.
So that's the great one. And then the last one is The Thing, which how is that not on either of your two lists?
That's a great one.
It's a great film.
The Thing's
amazing.
Film.
It is great. It's fantastic.
God, that didn't even make my short list. Like I'm like, how did I even wait a minute? My list is completely voided out now. Like, how did I not even make that on the list?
But those are, I mean, a lot. So even my like shortlist. So this was the top 10 shortlist. That you can see there's 22 on there, and then I had to get So like it was a hard call, but those are the ones that as of today in this moment they made the cut.
I gotta know though now, what was the problem with Alien and Aliens?
Yes.
I don't have a problem.
Or what is your
I do have a bit of a problem with Aliens. Everyone loves it. I think it's fine. I think it's a great action film. To tell you what it reminds me of, for me, it's like the Terminator, the first one, which I think is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Terminator 2 it becomes something very different, which is what Alien and Aliens did, I think. For me, the first Alien is a masterpiece in filmmaking, in horror. You know, it's like that. It's a haunted house in space. You know, with the creature lurking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know it's been said many times. The second one's entertaining, but for me, it doesn't have the what's the right word? Not panache. There's something about the first one that I think is quite magical that the second one doesn't. I know. I also struggle with chucking a kid in. Oh, it's chuck a kid in. Let's save a kid. I find that quite tedious.
That is a very, because then it becomes two mothers saving children.
I understand that.
That story is a very like good change to it, because then it's not there's this undefeatable monster. Then it's sort of like the brutality of motherhood.
Yes, I understand. I understand what you're saying. I have issues. I have issues with the chucking a kid in thing, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. There's another. I was going to chuck a kid in, chuck a kid in,
chucking a kid in. That's a central important.
Chuck a kid in.
What makes the second film
less
a
interesting.
Different film? It is the center point of the film.
I kind of like the way you brought it to Terminator, because I see the point more with that. Terminator stands alone as a great film.
It does, yeah.
T2 is amazing.
Chuck a kid in that as well. Yeah.
He has a kid in the first Terminator. He's just in utero.
Okay. Yeah.
Technically, he was an old man. He just
Yeah. No. Don't get me wrong. I love Aliens. I saw it, funny enough, in America, the first on a double bill with The Fly when it came out.
Oh, cool.
On a ship thing. Cruise, yeah. And I was about, was it 1986, was it? They came out.
That's a good double bill.
So yeah, it was brilliant. So I was like 14, and I was watching, this double bill on a cruise ship in the cinema. So I was like, this is really cool. No, it's a great film though. Well, it's an okay film.
I feel like I'm the odd man out here. Like, you guys have like some movies I've never heard of, and like mine are like, everybody saw this movie in 1994. Like, I'm Casey Kasem, and you're like throwing out like college FM station that reaches down the block. Like, here's my underground thing. And I'm like, everybody was dancing to this in 1984.
Jacob's Ladder.
No, and you know what though? I mean, they're classics for a reason. Like Scream is, I think it's a wonderful film, absolutely fantastic, and the sort of cinematic camera.
They are newer though, yeah.
Yeah, but they're great. They're fantastic.
All of mine, I'm just realizing. I don't think I have a slasher. Oh, what is Dr. Five's a slasher?
I wouldn't.
It's not technically. I was going to ask that about Elm Street. Funnily enough, when you mentioned when you said Elm Street, I mean, I suppose Elm Street is literally slashers, but
But it's a nightmare movie.
But it's a nightmare movie. It's not really there's a slash of elements to it, isn't there?
But it's like it. I think having the sleep element,
it makes it something
changes it, because they're not just running from some guy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I think you're right. It. It's not like a.
But he's killing you in real life.
No, but I more mean like if you're in a slasher movie, you can like turn behind a bush and you're fine. In Freddy, you will eventually go to sleep.
Which is 100% why it scared the living hell out of me as a kid.
Yeah, sure.
Because you don't escape it, right? Yeah, like it's not like I'm like, oh, and that is. Well, I still would consider it a slasher.
I mean,
it's another great film. So I think all yours are American as well. So I think
that's probably very true. I was actually looking at my longer, like when we go on to like the next short list, I do have one that is not American.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm an American, isn't that what we do?
Like
everything American is the center of the world. So.
Yeah, but you know what? I've only got one. Funny, I've only got one British film, which is The Wicker Man. I think and I've got a mixture.
You've got quite a lot of Italian.
I haven't. I've got
Well, no, It's Italian, isn't it?
Spanish.
Oh.
Spanish.
Okay, you got a lot of European.
European, and again, yeah, it's a lot that just missed it. You know, there's no Argento on there. There's no Fulci on there.
I am shocked there's no Fulci.
I'm shocked there's no Fulci. I'm shocked there's no Argento. As I say, Zombie Flesh Eaters and The Beyond almost made it. Suspiria, Tenebrae, Argento almost made it. It was, yeah, there we are. Terrifier was an interesting one for me, because I know you're not a fan. But I just bloody love it. I think, you know, then you got Hereditary. Hereditary came out in 2018. Terrifier 2016, and we saw Art the Clown in an anthology film first. All Hallows Eve, I think it's called. But I just love the fact that he's so relentless, and it's done something quite exciting for horror. I think the character, and in that it's really kind of captured everyone's imagination, and in a time where a lot of horror films, you know, like Hereditary, and I know we hate this expression, I'm going to use it because I can't think of anything else.
No elevated horror.
Okay, we're not saying elevated horror.
We're saying horror that people think is supposed to be more intellectual.
Yeah, there you go. So there's a lot of that, which I love as well, don't get me wrong, but there's something...
So you would say it was elevated?
No, but this is the issue, is that it's perception. These two films are a perfect example. They are both very academic films. You could write, there have been PhDs on both of them. No one would call this Living Dead Mentions are more elevated horror. Nobody's ever referred to it that way. It is multiple studies. It's incredibly social commentary. It's an incredibly deep, interesting, very well made movie. But everyone calls this elevated horror.
That's right. Yeah, no, I agree.
That is why elevated horror isn't a thing, because this is just as academic, and yet
no, I understand that.
I totally agree with you. I just didn't know how else to
you can say elevated horror.
No, it's a stupid expression, but it's something very primal about Art the Clown that is refreshing. I think with everyone's trying to make something clever, I suppose, and everyone's trying to make something different, and they've just gone balls to the wall, fuck everyone up with this nasty, unpleasant, irredeemable character that is just, and again, it's one of those characters you can't escape. You know, it's just I think it's you know, great. I love it. I love every minute of it.
I like the visual of Art the Clown. I find Terrifier boring. I'm sorry, I do. But I've just noticed all of your films are very, very visually rich.
Interesting.
Like, you can tell I'm a writer. Some of mine were books first. A lot of them were, it's the story.
Yeah.
You're really visual, and yours is very, did it scare you? Emotional.
That's interesting, yeah.
Or I think. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you think like Sinister, for example. You know, it was a cracking film, and there were some genuinely unsettling moments in that. Again, with The Conjuring, exactly the same. You know, and like you said, it was the first of the franchise, and it works brilliantly as a horror film. For that reason, but it's I suppose for me. It's not. I haven't chosen them on the scare factor. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Why not?
But I just found that really interesting.
It is. It is. You're right. I mean, they're visually very rich films, aren't they? I mean, on the whole.
The ones that I've seen of yours are they're like you walk away knowing. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't really scare me in the sense of
I can't
I could go to Texas and I'll feel comfortable.
But it's unrelenting, like Terrifier, isn't it? It just doesn't let up.
That goes along the lines of Terrifier to me, where it's just like you are in for a ride for the whole time.
Yeah,
you're going to be it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But the ones that I've seen are visual.
So, have you not seen Deadly Spawn?
I have not.
Oh my god. Okay, I will grant you it is
classic.
An insane movie. You'd love it.
It's bonkers. Very low budget American film. It's just crazy, but it's something about it that I absolutely love. It's one I remember when I had my old sort of pre-cert video collection. it was one of the ones. It was on the Vitco label, and it was this great big box with the black cover and the creature on the front, and it was something. Yeah, and it was something very gratifying about it. I don't know. I mean, it's bonkers. It's badly acted. The special effects aren't great, but they're kind of wonderful at the same time. Everything about it's lacking, apart from the fact it somehow manages to be fucking brilliant. I don't know what it. I mean, it's just bonkers and great. And that I won't go great. There's the last shot. It's just
It's also fun.
It's fun. It's really fun, and you get. I think that without giving too much away, there's the group of the ladies sitting around having afternoon tea almost, and and doing there's a vegetarian lunch, and they'll bring stuff around, and all these little things there, and it's just it's hilarious, and they're quite sort of phallic looking as well. These little things, and so you've got these very sort of prim and proper middle-aged older ladies, and you in sort of suburbia somewhere.
They're kind of waspy.
Okay.
Waspy, there you go. And all of a sudden there's these little things. It's brilliant, and they're growing into really big things. Yeah, it's a cracker. I love it. Yeah.
So I'm interested in. I thought for sure that Japanese horror would have been.
It was so cool. Yeah, because I love Japanese horror. Ringu.
And I picked that over The Ring because obviously it's the original, and it's just such a. People are scared of like subtitles. At least in America, like I know a lot of people that I know do like, it's subtitles, I'm not going to watch it. Or like, let's dub it, which takes away the movie from me. Like if I have to watch it dubbed. Like it's...
Yeah.
But
I'm a big fan of the dub.
Are you? Okay.
My eyes are lazy.
No, and that's fair, but I get drawn into the voice. I'm like, well, that's like not his voice. Like so
for sure. Yeah.
So, but I'm actually surprised that like of three of us doing top 10,
yeah, you're right.
Not one Asian horror movie.
So my much longer list had Ringu, Grudge, Blackwater, and which was the one that lasted the longest and made the very short list was The Audition.
Yeah,
that's an insane.
What an amazing movie! Yeah. Yes, I didn't even think about that one either, but I've seen it now. I'm like, oh wait a minute. Again, my list is void. I love
The Audition, and it made it like really, really far. And then it basically what happened was I was like, okay, I got to this point of the 22, and I went, okay, if I'm sitting at home and I'm a little bit like bored or whatever, and I just want to pop something on for a couple hours, I need to like be mentally prepared for the audition in a way I don't for all the rest of these films. They are very creepy, but like they're very easy rewatches. I loved The Audition, but it's not the kind of thing we're on just an afternoon where afterwards I'm gonna go do something for work. Right. I need to like recover from watching The Audition. Oh,
it's I'm embarrassed saying this, but Asian horror is an area that I don't know much about.
Okay,
it's kind of it's embarrassing. I haven't seen a huge amount of Asian horror. I don't know why, because it's like The Audition and Ringu and some others. I really enjoyed it.
And they're very relentless.
And they're relentless. Yeah. There's something about a lot of them. I can't. I don't know. There's a sort of disconnect. I have a disconnect with it. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the language thing. I don't know.
You don't like kids being thrown in the movies.
No!
They're all about the spooky kids.
That's fine if they're creepy kids. Creepy kids are fine.
Okay.
That's absolutely fine.
Helpless kids, not so much.
Helpless kids, well, but you kind of know they're going to survive. 9 times out of 10, I find it a little bit.
I hope your son watches this and sees the disappointment on your face about children surviving. That is what I hope.
So you like Courtney and the Zombies, where he punts the baby?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was probably a good.
Courtney vs. Zombies, yeah.
Speaking of films that are totally outside, Shaun of the Dead didn't make your list. I was like, Shaun of the Dead, Chris has covered.
No, so it's funny. I'm gonna go with my first out, right? And it's not on there either. And the reason it's not on there, and I'll tell you why. Because so it's gonna be more of the same. Because I'm American and I'm not interesting, and I don't have like phallic symbols attacking waspy ladies at a vegetarian lunch.
What's wrong with you?
I know, but Lost Boys.
Classic. Great.
So they're that just a classic. Like everyone's gonna see that. Jaws.
Classic again.
And maybe not want to swim in a swimming pool. Like it's just one of those movies.
Classic, yeah.
Then I went to newer ones with Ready or Not.
Oh,
Great
like
film.
Ready or
Really
Not
like
a
that
lot.
Really
movie.
good film. Yeah,
Really
really
good.
good
And The
film.
Strangers with
Yes.
Liv Tyler.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
There's something about that because you were home.
Yeah, that's that
It's
line.
like,
Yeah.
oh
why,
my
why are you
God.
doing this?
Yeah,
Because you
because
were home. Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
But then there's Cabin in the Woods
Yes.
and Shaun of the Dead.
Okay.
There you go. 2 great comedy horrors.
Yeah.
And they're comedy horrors. And so I took them out because if I'm going to go to the comedy horror, I can do 10 of those by themselves because you have Dale and Tucker versus Evil.
Mm.
You have Shaun of the Dead. You have Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is like meta in meta. Like it's like,
Yeah.
but I was like, I just kind of kept those. It was an easy way for me to disqualify films from my list.
You know what's horrible? I did the same thing. I had American Werewolf and Little Shop of Horrors. Both films I've watched dozens of times.
Both
and
were on my
adore.
list of
And
top
I was
10.
like, comedy,
Yep.
done. That's
Yeah.
horrible that I did that, though. I feel
But
bad
it was
now.
a way to narrow my list, is
Mm.
why.
I think, yeah, you have to be really careful with comedy horror, don't you? You've got to,
Mhm.
like something, you can get it so right, like Shaun of the Dead, for example, you can get it so wrong. There's so many bad ones. But I wouldn't, they're obviously not comedies, but Creepshow and Return of the Living Dead have a dark humour about them. There's some very sort of black humour in Return of the Living Dead. It's very funny in places, and Creepshow has a lot of humour in it as well.
Yes,
Yes, it does.
It's very
But I
very
wouldn't call
funny.
it
in
comedy
places.
horror. It's almost
It's
like
not
dark,
comedy.
Dark
Yeah,
humor.
yeah,
So dark
100%.
humor would be a
I
different
wouldn't.
category.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Yeah,
And I
but
think
that was my kind of.
I mean, Fives, you laugh
Fives,
at but
Fives,
that's again,
yeah.
I don't think of as comedy horror, so it kept
No.
on the list. I mean, I was always going to do
Right.
Dr. Fives.
But again,
Right.
but it's so camp and but it deliberately so,
yeah,
and it is very funny, But yeah, I wouldn't call it a comedy horror.
comedy,
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
There's you have films with comedic elements that aren't comedy films.
I'm
Sure.
sorry, Simon Pegg, I didn't add your movie to my
Well,
list because I do love that movie so
So
much.
I've also got the
Rosemary's Baby.
that made the list.
Oh yeah, I was going
Process
to talk
art.
about it. Sorry,
Oh yeah, go for it. I love Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, brilliant.
This is something I've literally just realized now. 3 of these are about mothers. I don't have kids. I don't know why that fascinates me. But there you go. 3 of these are about mothers.
And you discussed how Aliens is about 2 mothers.
With us, the
is
aliens,
that-
not two
yeah.
mothers. Rosemary's Baby is about a mother, and The Innocents is about well, she's the nanny, but she like has this weird overprotectiveness about the kids and is like mothering them because they don't have a mom, and so she like tries to take.
So
over
you
that
could have
role.
actually added the movie Mother with Jennifer Lawrence and Ma.
Yeah,
came out.
moms,
Yeah.
too. Like, yeah, seriously, I've got a mom thing going on. There you go. Maybe it's because I find motherhood terrifying.
There you go.
That's the biggest
So
horror
for me,
story
I'm
of
like,
them
that's
all.
the scariest thing I could ever do is potentially have a child. So there we are.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's body horror right there.
Right? It is. It is literally what inspires body horror.
Yeah.
I mean, Cronenberg's a great example of that. He talks all the time about how like the fact that you can grow a person in a person is ridiculously horrific if you think about it. And it's beautiful and a miracle, but there's also an element of like surely moms who've been through this, your organs are moving around. Like that's creepy. If somebody says, "I'm just gonna switch your organs around," that sounds horrifying.
You'd be arrested for it if you did it without someone's consent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then this baby's just going, "Oh, pardon your bladder." But yeah, no.
So what nearly made you? What nearly made it?
Okay, Babadook is another
Babadook.
contemporary one. that I
So
love.
great, and I recommend that for anyone who's new and doesn't want gore.
Yes.
Mhm.
Great
A
gore
lot of
movie.
mine are, for non-gore people, a lot of mine are low on the gore list. Not all of them, but a lot of them are more creepy.
Mine are quite cool.
Yeah.
Again, not all of them, but Rosemary's Baby is a good example. It's not
Yep.
gory, but it's very creepy.
It's a very scary film.
Um,
It's always something about conspiracies, isn't it? The conspiracies when everyone knows something you don't know, and you think it, and you. Am I going mad? Is this happening? It's all those. It's all that questioning your sanity, which is what makes things like that work.
Really
And again, and it's the motherhood as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it heightens it with the mother because it's like
Yeah.
that's your child.
yeah,
So then you're like, well, don't like. What do you? So you're already
What are you gonna do?
overprotective. Like
Yeah.
Or you can. Some parents can be overprotective, and then it's like you got the conspiracy going in from the other side of it. So yeah, I liked Rosemary's Baby a lot.
And it's you know, you can't trust your doctor, you can't trust your husband, you can't trust your neighbour. It's like, well, who do you turn to?
Feel all alone, right?
Exactly.
Very solitary.
Yeah.
And then there's the amazingly creepy moment where they've like literally got her over there with the knife. She can end the whole situation. She goes, "I'm a baby."
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
what have you done?
Oh, and before you carry on,
Oh.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78 over the 50s. I mean, I get it. I totally get it.
It's
It's got Leonard Nimoy in it for a start.
It's
it is brilliant and it is fantastic.
It's so 70s.
It's wonderful.
It's got Jeff Goldblum. It's got, like you said, Leonard Nimoy being Spock-like. I mean, literally, he's an emotionless alien.
Yeah.
That's literally what he is in the movie.
Yeah.
He's just not got the funny ears.
Yeah.
And
it's brilliant. No, and that ends shot. You know, is
how classic is
it's fantastic. I remember I didn't see that coming when I first saw it.
Yeah.
I just have I have a massive soft spot for the original again. But yeah, I mean, it'd be very hard for me to choose which one to add. But the original almost made my list.
I mean, the only reason the original didn't, it's an awesome movie, it's just as creepy, is that I saw that one first, so it's the one that has the impression on me, you know? You know, sometimes it's not that it's the best movie in the world, but you watched it at the right time, at the right age, and you're like, oh my god, I can't, like...
And you get that great, and you get the great Kevin McCarthy cameo as well. When he's he's running, he gets hit by the car. And the end of the original again is another great ending. You know, when he's, you know, I can't remember what he says now, but it's like, not you're next, but I should remember this, shouldn't I? But you know, they're here, you know, type thing. That, you know, and again, it's that conspiracy. Everyone knows something. Everyone's doing something. You're on your own. It's great, yeah, and you can't trust your family.
I've got a lot of that because Alien also has the computer program.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, The Thing as well. The Thing again.
You can't trust
you don't know who you can trust.
Visage has that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't like people is the message here.
Yeah. There you
go. certainly are afraid of growing a person, but let alone once they've already grown, you don't like them at all.
You can go now.
What I like about your list, though, is quite a lot of... I mean, both lists have monsters, but you've got quite a lot of ones that are, like, nightmarish.
That's, I think, is my biggest fear. Is like, you've seen Shutter Island?
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio, like, little twist at the end and everything, but I'm like, how crazy is that if you didn't know that you were going crazy? So, like, the mental stuff blows my mind because you see people and you're like, it's not like you can just go crazy. Yeah. Like going crazy scares me. Yeah. Because you don't know you're crazy if people are like, I'm a little bit crazy. Well, you're not really crazy. Exactly, you're just kind of deranged. The real craziness is the people that have gone like into psychosis and they're just like Mouth of Madness has that. That's where I was gonna go with that. Was like a lot of mine are like more the nightmare kind of borders on that, or Nightmare on Elm Street borders on that, because in your dreams you really don't control. Like everybody has dreams. You're like, you know it's a dream, but you're still scared because you're like, just wake up, and you're like, yeah. So it's like, but it's like the out of control. Like you're just in it, and it's like the mental.
Has an element of that as well, and The Conjuring, and in a like a weird way, a lot of The Conjuring relies on that alternate plane and the like things you don't necessarily have control over. That's quite cool.
Poltergeist again, Poltergeist, which we watched, funny enough, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we did.
Again, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
You know, like Poltergeist going into that, because that was like definitely up there for me. Is when they're playing around with the chair. It's a fun trick.
They're so like,
they're
so amused.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
they're
right.
like, oh, this is awesome.
And she's like getting jazzed. She's like,
oh,
hey!
Yeah, it's so great. And then, you know, just you moved the tombstone, but you did. He's just like,
yeah. We were talking about that, funnily enough, that you know, the how hard it would be if you moved in. You got a new house and you moved in, and then things start. You hear noises. First of all, you dismiss it. You think, well, it's a new house. You know, we're getting used to the house. then other things start happening, and you kind of start thinking, oh, this is a bit strange. And then there's the point where you realise there must be that one point where you realise that there's something supernatural going on, like whether it's that or the chairs stacked up in the kitchen, or whatever. But then still, you're like, well, you know, it's not hurting us. It's okay still.
No, I'm out.
Yeah,
chairs are stacked up in the kitchen.
Yeah, well,
I'm not longer there.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, it would be strange and obviously supernatural, but at that point, it's still not a threat. And then we were talking about how when it became a threat, and you just bought a house, all your money's in the house. How high? What point do you then decide that's it? I'm leaving, because it's probably not as easy as you think it's going to be. I mean, when you're obviously if your life's threatened, say, or someone your family's threatened, then you can have to go somewhere. But it's not just a case of, oh, that's a bit strange. We better get out. We better leave. Let's leave our entire world behind.
If it was that easy to leave, there would be no paranormal shows.
There you
like
go.
And the haunted house shows where you're like, because we'll watch those at home, and my wife was like, "Well, I'd be out," and my kids are down to the point where we're like, "Nope, I'm not even gonna go in." You're like, but yeah, if you sunk your whole life savings, and that's kind of like the Amityville horror was like, we got this deal. We have nothing else. We are banking on this house, and then it's like, you have no family around. You have nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Well, even if you're an average person and you you've got your mortgage or whatever, you're gonna have to then sell the house, which will take months. It will. Like, I don't know anybody who's been able to sell a house in a week. And so you've got to pay for a hotel that whole time? Think about how expensive
I
budget
see why you
for like a
wouldn't be able
2-week
to.
holiday.
Like, how do I just get along with?
I like that we just turned the haunted house movie into a really boring concept. Well, how financially, I don't think I could leave.
What is the benefit of it? But you're right. Like,
or you just go with 13 ghosts and figure out a way to trap the ghosts so they don't bother you.
That's a good idea.
Nice.
That's a good idea.
But no, mine is definitely like the mental, like the more psychological horrors, but also like slashers too. Like
yours is very bodily and unrelenting.
Yeah, it is on the whole. But like you said, it's a lot about the aesthetics for me. Like the Tombs of the Blind Dead films. It's about the Knights Templar, kind of a fictional version of a real, group of knights. Whose eye they're hanged, and their eyes are pecked out, and then centuries later they rise again. Obviously they can't see anything, but they're like the skeletal, and they're slow motion and on a horseback with their swords, and it's oh my god, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I could just watch it. And I think I don't know if anyone's ever said it. I'm sure they have. But Hammer's Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which I go on about all the time, because that almost made my list as well. Again, when they're kind of coming out of their graves, they do it in slow motion. They've got this mask, a very similar look to it. So I kind of always wonder if there was if the art department of that Hammer did see one, because it's a very similar look. But yeah, very very that's great. Yeah, love it. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. But then I have gone. Yeah, there's one are quite gory. Honestly, Text Change, so the first one isn't. But I couldn't separate 1 and 2 because I love them both for very different reasons.
And the Wicker Man's not gory.
The Wicker Man's not gory. Carnival of Souls, obviously, isn't. Hereditary, it kind of is, yeah. But
visual, yeah, we get very visually rich.
Yeah. So the ones that nearly made the list, obviously, some Argento, some Fulci. There's no Hammer, there's no Amicus on my list, which I was toying with. The Hammer ones that would have done would be Satanic Rites and Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Circus of Horrors also not on there.
Circus of Horrors? No.
Oh. No, is that one of the first films he ever recommended to me? I thought he liked it a lot.
Oh no,
I'm
I do.
Obviously wrong.
Oh no, I do like it a lot. No, I do like it a lot, but it's not one I would consider for top 10. I don't think, no, but I do like it a lot. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I don't know. Video Shop Tales of Terror 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we're going to see the premiere of tomorrow. It's going to be up there.
That's a good one. Okay, so of our list, we talked a little bit about like what we were surprised wasn't on anybody's list. Were there any ones that you saw on the list and were like, really? Tony and Lauren like that, or Chris and Lauren like that film? Was there anything you were surprised made the list? I like that my list needs looking at. Everyone else can remember the boys' list. The Lauren's like, what the fuck did you like?
No, I mean it's a solid list, isn't it? It's
I
a
mean-
really solid list. The Birds.
I was surprised
Classic.
Sinister. Honestly, I liked Sinister a lot, and it's very creepy. But I think because it's not. I don't know. It's not one of those mainstream ones that's on the like main list, and it's not a slasher, which I know you really love. I think I was surprised. It's not that it shouldn't be on there, but I think that's the one that I was surprised by.
It would have, if I had a different list where it was like more along those lines, but like it was just done so well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Just done
I
so
prefer
well.
the Sinister to The Conjuring. I have to say.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I thought Ethan Hawke was great.
Ethan
He was an amazing.
Ethan Hawke's
cast.
great in stuff.
He's so creepy in horrors.
Yeah.
I mean, he's great in other films as well, but
He puts a good
Black
turn
Phone.
in.
yeah, Black Phone.
Yeah.
Black Phone was good. Yeah, what was the Purge as well, wasn't he? The first Purge.
Yeah.
I messed around with the Purge a little bit.
Yeah.
It was out earlier on, but I was like, just a cool concept.
Yeah, the first one's like The Strangers, and it's that home invasion thing, which obviously they take.
Yeah, The Strangers is a better version of the home invasion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then again, that's another series that went in a different direction. But I mean, the last couple I wasn't so keen on, but I think two was pretty good actually, if I remember rightly. Yeah. But
Sinister always just ranked, and Sinister was always going to be on my top 10.
Oh wow!
I just really, it just was one of those that I was like, wow.
And
there's something with the found footage of like the pulling into the pool and stuff like that, where it's just like, not that it's visually out, but it's just like they're really showing, and they're without showing anything, they're still showing something that like resonates with you, like, holy crap, But the only one that I'm confused, like, The Birds is such a good movie. It's like, but I knew you were gonna do a Hitchcock.
Of course, yes, because of that.
So like, so your list is like very like I'm not shocked at the movies, right? But it's your list, and so like it represents you perfectly.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah. It's a thinking woman's list.
Oh no!
mine's a get the boys round for some beers on a Saturday afternoon kind of list.
Your list is one that I'm like, I'm gonna go and watch that one.
Yeah.
And like Terrifier, like I know what that is. So I'm like, if you got Terrifier on there and the Chainsaw Massacre, like. And the ones that I have seen, I know what you're going with. Yeah. I will also say that Wicker Man, I knew would be on both of your lists. But as an American, and I've watched it recently. It was recent that I watched it. I've watched it now 3 times, and I'm liking it more and more. And it's not just the bedroom scene.
Yeah,
with the dance.
That'll
bring you back.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm starting to like that. Like, there's just different things of like with the swords and like and just like the folklore-ish. I've really started. It's like moving up my list.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to your list in conspiracies, and you've got this
people.
guy
it's
again.
Creepy-ass people.
Yeah, creepy people.
And creepy child, the kid with the bug, the girl with the bug on the string in the classroom.
Yes.
It's closer and closer to the middle, and it's exactly what they're doing to that poor guy.
Little thing.
And that's what they're doing to the policeman.
Yes, exactly.
It's just so
exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, this is the list for people who are terrified of people. That is what we have discovered, and motherhood. That's what we've discovered.
There you go. It's solid. It's solid. I think everyone's got some great stuff.
But now I just feel like my list is like if you were gonna do a 1980s hair metal band and do music videos, that's my list.
Yeah,
and then
well, I'm a big fan of Motley Crue, so that's all good. That's all good.
You guys will be able to share this, and I'm gonna be sitting over here being like, "No, it's really interesting, and let me tell you why in 6.5 hours." Awesome. Okay, I love that. I think unless we have anything else cool to say, I think that's a pretty good spot actually.
Yeah, cool.
Because we've summarized well.
We have,
awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Happy New Year.
R.I.P. David Lynch.
Oh, David Lynch died today, or last night maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elephant Man, Razorhead, 2 of my favourites either.
Mulholland Drive's always gonna be mine. I wrote a
Yep.
scene recently that was inspired by Mulholland Drive that we're turning into film. But yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Something I always find interesting, actually, since we're talking about this, is that you'll have people who David Lynch wouldn't make your like top 10, and then when they pass away, you're like, God, yeah, he was really brilliant. And I always find that interesting because you get that thing of like artists. He's not an underappreciated artist in his own time, and his death hasn't made him famous. He was amazingly famous, and for many people, he shaped their careers. But it's really interesting how you can kind of even day to day overlook great, masterful people in your like top tens, and then when you're reminded of it, you're like, oh my god! Like when I brought up The Thing, and you're like, oh shit, John Carpenter.
No, you both got Carpenters.
We do have Carpenters, but yeah, I find that really interesting. There's nothing special to say about that, but
no, it's cool.
There's moments.
Yeah.
And I think the top 10 list did that for me, bringing things like Jaws. I don't know why Jaws didn't even make my long list, because you're right. It scared the crap out of me to go to the beach for ages. But then I didn't think about it, but then you say it, and you're like, oh yeah.
There are people that will not get in dark water.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think quite a lot of people actually. My best friend Steph's terrified of the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not a fan. I can't deny it. Yeah. Cool.
Very cool.
Please feel free to tell us on Facebook if you have any more lists, or if you want us to post these lists. Obviously, it might make your life easier. And then just be in touch, and we will see you next month. Thanks for listening to London
Thank you.
Over here. Yep.
If you want to share your thoughts about this episode, please head to our Facebook or YouTube pages. We're grateful to Cucurbit, who made our music. Thank you for listening, and please join us next time for the London Horror Movie Club.